hours. We're only here for 3 hours, so I believe okay, cool. So I just squeeze online. Just need to share with you guys these links so that at least you can be able to. So I'm sharing a link directly to the Slack channel. So the link is on the NBO channel, so you guys can actually follow in. Link is on the NBO channel. Okay. Okay. So part of what we'll be covering today is working with how do you call it? Flask-RESTful API. Most of the things that we'll be doing today is very practical, so I don't like really expect a lot of things to. Okay, let me just be honest. I expect a lot of things to break, but I believe you guys are awesome people, right? So in case something breaks off, you'll be able to say, "Hey, Abraham, please come on. I need to understand that part and why we are doing ABC." Okay. Hello. Yes. Tuko sawa? What did I mean to say? Did I say tuko sawa ama tuko sambamba? Yes. So majorly by the end of today, you should be able to create a Flask-RESTful API, and you don't have to join the video. You can share it with your friends. And I'm here for Christ's sake. Or you can use it as a personal reference later on. Yeah, so my main focus is by the end of today, I think you guys should be able to use Flask-RESTful API, create your own API endpoints. Then after that, we'll put some little practice. I believe this will be the shortest tutorial I'll have to do. The fact that I'd actually shared some materials today in the morning. So how many guys took some time to go through them? How many haven't gotten time? You guys haven't gotten time? Huh? How many guys haven't gotten time? You didn't take the time. So you mean you haven't like read anything on those links? Okay, so we'll be talking about Flask. How do you guys want us to talk about Flask if you don't know what Flask is? So do you need us to go through those links first? Huh? Summary. Summary of what? Of Flask. Okay, somebody is saying summary of Flask. What else? Huh? What else? Somebody is saying summary of Flask. I need to know something else probably that you guys would want us to cover. What else would you guys want us to cover? So I think those links are self-explanatory. Let me just get back to opening them. I'll be sharing my screen. Allow me to share my screen. Okay, screen share. So most of those links are purely self-explanatory, and I'll just be trying to open some few of them up. Okay, so the first one, you could have actually ignored the first one. So the second one makes much better sense because it will definitely lead you there. It's not even something that you guys should like really worry about. The first thing, definitely welcoming you to Flask documentation, divided into different parts, recommendation that you need to get started, installations, quick starts. Besides quick starts, there is also more detailed tutorial to show a complete, though a bit small, application with Flask. So generally, the reason why I actually shared this thing with you guys is because going through this documentation, you'll be able to understand some bit of Flask before we actually come here. Please always take like some 30 minutes, okay? If I share these materials, it's actually to, prepare you psychologically. Yes, by the end of the day, everyone should have written a Flask RESTful API. So that is can I call it an ultimatum for each and every person today? Okay. Yes. So I'll be starting from scratch. I don't want to use something that I've actually used before because I realize when I talk about Flask-RESTful, and at the same time I want to talk about directory structure. At the same time I want to talk about TDD. At the same time I want to talk about etc. What is etc? Huh? What? What is etc? Eating? Eating directory structure. It's very funny anyway. It's not eating, it's not called eating directory structure. Man, somebody's phone. I don't know, it's somebody's phone. I also request you guys to put those phones down. They don't really matter right now. Unless you are pairing it up. You can remove the battery. I guess that's what you are doing right now. Yes. So you're not actually the first person to remove the battery when the radio refuses to go off. How many guys ever removed the battery? How many haven't? How many guys haven't removed the battery of a phone? Where do you guys stay? Have you ever used a Techno? And there's this other one called Itel. Huh? You don't use those. Can you show us your phone? We just want to see your phone. Man. Is it a 2018 version or 2012? Anyway, I'm kidding. Okay, fine. So the most funny thing is they even have a Slack channel here that you can actually join for a team that uses Flask. So majorly, it's always like upon your, like when you choose to learn, you'll definitely get to learn, okay? And I believe as I see you guys here, the fact that I'm going to cover this thing when you guys are here, all of you guys are getting into fellowship. Amen. At the preacher? Okay, I don't know what amen means, but anyway. What is the meaning of amen? Ati? Not it shall be so. Seriously, what's up? What's up with you guys today? Did you guys take lunch? Who took the most amazing lunch ever? What did you take for lunch? Good night. Good night for that. Okay, so I'm basically going to start. The reason why I advise you guys to read some of these links is they're not just for they're not just. So let me just tell you guys my personal story about learning. At one point, I used to ignore things that are actually the lower, and I knew how to use Stack Overflow. Okay? By the time I was switching into Python, I knew how to use Stack Overflow, and I'd actually done PHP Laravel E framework. Nimeiva PHP kidogo. Actually, nimeiva sana. Yes. So when I got to Python, I knew how to skip everything. So I started from the high end because I knew what I wanted to do. So I could actually Google the question on Stack Overflow, get the answer, and actually implement it, right? But then the problem which came with that is because I was not actually able to implement some of the simple things which actually left. So I knew the most technical things, but the fundamental things I could not actually explain. Okay? So when you get to understand the basic and the root of each and every programming language that you use, it's actually upon you, and it really helps you to get to like broaden your scope of understanding and implementation of what you need to do. So I really advise you guys to sometimes take some time on these links and read them. So, hello. Cool. Thank you. So quick side start. What will you get in the quick side start is a minimal a Flask application. This is just an hello world Flask application. Okay. And how does this application looks like? I think this is what we basically did last time. This is what I basically showed you guys last time. The first line, it imports Flask. Okay. Who was not there on Saturday here? Who was not there on Saturday? The people who are going to church. But you have ever written a Flask application, right? Have you written a Flask application? Have you written a Flask application before? You have ever written? You've ever written a Flask application? So you guys understand the first line is importing Flask, okay? The second line, or the third line probably, is declaring the name of your Flask application. So app or any name of your Flask application is equals to Flask in bracket name, okay? Then third one is app.route, okay? Then the fourth one is now you declaring the functions of your Flask application, whether it's returning hello world or not. Then the last two lines is equals to when you are looking for the if main file, then you say app.run. Cool. You guys understand the logic of a basic Flask application. It's like around 7 or 6 lines of codes where you don't have spaces. That's how. So that is basically what we try to do on Saturday. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to implement it. That's why we're going to start today, and then we're going to introduce the concept of Flask-RESTful API. Then you'll now see how Flask-RESTful API makes everything quite much easier than we ever thought before. So how? Hello? You guys, if you guys are jovial, just be jovial. Don't force smiles, don't force like those frowny faces. Furthermore, if you frown your face for Flask, it will Flask-carry you. Flask-car. Okay, so we're basically going to start. I'll actually open my terminal. I'll clear everything. I'll clear everything, okay? All of you guys can see my terminal. Who is not? Nani nasema iko clear? So do you have bad eyes? Yes. Like poor eyesight. Huh? Short eyesight. You can move in front. But I believe it's anyway much bigger. Let me just try to. I think that one you can now see, right? That's clear now. So I'm gonna please let's pay attention. Don't be distracted. I'm begging you guys, because we only have this thing once, and we should need to learn it once. Sasa, hello. We only have this session once, and we need to learn it fast. So in case you miss it today, I'll actually refer you to the YouTube video, and that might not really go so good with you guys. Yeah. So I'll create a new directory. So projects, I'll make directory. How do you want us to call this project? Flask. Flask API, right? So I'll cd into Flask API. Right now, you guys understand it's actually empty. That's why if I list, it's actually not returning anything, right? So the first thing I want to do here, I want to touch run.py. Okay. Hello. So basically, the only file which I have in this directory right now is run.py. Okay. So I want to go to my text editor. Open. And one of the things I want to open is I want to come to projects, Flask API. Then I open this app. So I don't know, my text editor might not be. So I'm in run.py. I'm in run.py. Before I actually do anything, I want to make sure that I create a virtual environment for my application. Okay. The first thing, how do you create a virtual environment? Any person? How do you create a virtual environment? Yes, Belio. How do you want us to name our virtual environment, Savali? You are copying me because that is what I use daily. Okay, so it's actually installing the setup tools, pip wheels, and the rest of the things. It's already done. What next do I need to do? Activate the virtual environment. Okay. So how do I activate it? Any person? How do I activate my virtual environment? You. What's your name? Yeah. Yeah, Godric. How do I activate my virtual environment? Whatever you've ever done, Flask. Okay. Yes, Alan. Yes. Ivo. Ivy. No, I'm actually typing what Alan has told me. So activate. Relax, Alan. It's not working. Kwani nimeweka space hivi hivyo? Alan, you told me you had worked with Flask. Yeah. Yes, Diana. Okay. Dash. Uh-huh. 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 Okay, so what's happening? Oh, it is already activated. I did not say anything bad. It's already activated. How do I deactivate? How do you deactivate a virtual environment? Yes. Uh-huh. Source env. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Bin. Okay. What do you mean? Just tell me what type. Env slash bin. Uh-huh. You don't know. Why didn't you say you don't know in the first place? Than wasting time trying errors. Hey, what is the moral lesson here? Do not waste time on what you don't know. Using trial and error. You'll always waste time. Okay. So can you ask him? Okay. How do I now activate it? Uh-huh. Okay, fine. So basically, when you want to activate, you just do source source the name of your virtual environment, bin, then activate it, activates it. Then when you want to deactivate, just type deactivate. Okay. So I think on Saturday we also talked about the importance of having a virtual environment, right? So in this our virtual environment, we want to use Flask. What do we need to do first? Show of hands. Please, let's participate, guys. Yes, John? Huh? I thought you'd say sudo install Flask. Or next install Flask. Pip install. Okay, so I think we are set to start doing our application, okay? Are we set to start doing our application? Somebody saying no? Yes? Okay. And how do you create that? Pip freeze. Pip freeze requirements. Greater sign. What the hell is greater sign? This one. Okay, requirements. .txt. Okay. Anyway, thanks for actually telling us about that. So I think any other next step that we need to do? Yes, Steve. We just want to build some. Like I said before. Yes, we are supposed to make a directory for scaling our Flask applications, but for right now, we want to design a very simple Flask RESTful API. Then I'll show you guys how you can use Postman or Insomnia to consume your APIs, or I can also show you guys how to use curl, whichever way that will work for you guys. Hello. Okay, so any next step? We are doing Flask first. So before we do Flask RESTful, we are doing Flask. Any other? Yes? Import Flask. Next step. Amondi. Yes? What's your name? Yeah. Huh? Kwabe. Kwame. KDF. Yeah? Kwame Asiago. I had a friend called Tony Asiago. I don't know whether he's your friend or your colleague. But anyway, what's the next step? Adi? Okay, so you think this one won't work? It won't work? Will it work? Huh? Will it work? Okay. So you're gonna say from Flask import okay, next step. Next step. Hello. You guys know these things, right? I just actually talked about all of it here. So what's the next step? Yes, Maggie? We did a Flask application on Saturday. What's the next step? You can't recall? Thank you. Inga? Define the name of the app. Who will define for us the name of the app? Yes, Perry. App. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. That way. The next line. Yes. Create a route. How do you create a route? Roger? How do you write there? Huh? That's enough. Okay. The next step. Yes. Sylvia. The function that you want to run, okay? And like, let's say we just want to call this function hello, a function. And in this function, what do you want to do? A return? Return. Okay. There's something, however, that you haven't done. So what will you do next? What's your name? I keep on forgetting your name. You. Wait. Yeah. Rando. Yes, Calvin. App.run. Any person? If you don't know, just say you don't know. Cool. Any person? Boss. What's your name? Nikanor. Are you supposed to be a deacon? Oh, so you are a deacon. You will pray for us after the end of this. Okay? But before then, please bless us in the hands of God as we finish our Flask application. If what do you mean? Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. This way? But you told me main. I'm using run. So the reason why I probably just typed, I actually entered in my Sublime text was able to complete for me everything. Okay, fine. So how do we run this application? There's something we left in the route. There's something we left in the route, and I want us to include it so that at least we are, okay? Let us add a method. How do we add a method? Comma. Is equals to, square bracket, square bracket. Get. Okay, you say then square, then get, right? This way? Is this okay? How do we run our Flask application? I mean, the terminal, how do we run our Flask application? Anyone? Yes? Why do we export the Flask app? So that I say export Flask app. Run.py, okay? So let me clear off the errors. What do I need to do next? How do I run now the app? Yes, Steve? Yes? Yes. But it is not advisable, especially when doing Flask. So you need to export the main file or the running file of your Flask application and just say Flask run. Okay, fine. Is it now working? Huh? So we want to launch something that 50% of you guys have been wondering now. What did you use yesterday? Okay, fine. So let me just launch it so that at least you guys see how it works. So there's something we call Postman. What is the brother of or sister of Postman that you guys know? Huh? Carl? Actually, Postman is just Carl. Carl. How do you spell the Carl? CURL. But Carl is command line. So in case you're using Windows, I think to install Carl, you'll be saying next, 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 next. But anyway, you'll have to still use your terminal command. Okay? So anyway, for today, there's one interesting thing about using Flask, about using Postman. I've never used Insomnia. I've used Carl anyway, but I've never used Insomnia. We really don't want to make your life a bit technical. We don't want you to go home and start looking like some genius. Yes, you guys are genius, right? But you're not a genius in Carl yet. And Carl is very much easier than this. Only that you have to type a lot. So when we come here, we want to create something we call a collection. This collection will contain all our API requests that we are going to do. I think I'll come back again and talk to you guys about the concept of APIs, which is very important, okay? And how generally APIs work. But then before this, I just want us to get to know how we're gonna do this. So we want to create a collection. A collection is just like a folder where we will build all our requests from, okay? So what collection do you want to give our app? I want to give it Flask API, something like the name of the name that we previously had. So we'll have Flask API, okay? After doing that, it's actually telling me, do I want to share this? I'll show you guys why this is very important. In your README files, you need to put run via for Postman badge, okay? I know I completely understand if you guys don't know how badges are being gotten. I completely understand. But before the end of the day, I shall have taught you guys how to get badges, okay? But for now, I just want to minimize this. So we are actually here. As you can see, we are at 0 request. The first thing that we want to do is to build on request. And I want to select a collection. I want to select a collection for all of them. Help me choose this. And what is my collection name? I want to call it get hello. Save to that. Then here is my collection. So how do I run my application? I'll go to my terminal. This one of the most important things about using building request is something we call the URL, and this is where you paste your URL. Okay, I believe you guys understand what our URL is right now, and so we'll just need to come back here, copy our URL, then come and paste it here. Right? What was the method? What was the request method that we were using? Get, right? And as you can see, we are actually using get here. So we don't need to build any other thing, okay? So for now, what are we going to do? We're going to send. And our Postman will return for us hello world that we actually had. Okay? So the same thing, you guys could have actually gone to your browsers, copy paste that URL, it shall have actually returned for you the same thing, right? But in any case, in this case scenario, We are not using our browsers. I advise you to pay attention even as you want to look sideways. So basically, that's a basic Flask application. We want now to try to advance in this Flask application and see how it will look like, okay? Hello? Will that be okay? Cool. So let's take a look. I want to import Flask. Another thing that I want to import here, I believe my fonts are so big, so I can reduce them a bit so that at least most of the application fits the screen. You guys can still see it, right? Clear? Cool. So I want to import some other things in this series, and one of the things I want to import is something we call JSONify. Another thing that I would probably want to import is something we call make response. Okay. Cool. What other thing do you guys want me to import? Yes. Request. Okay, fine. Importation is actually good. So I could have actually said from Flask import everything. Okay, but make sure that you are importing something that you are at one point using in your application. So if you don't use any of the package that you've actually imported, you are free to go and delete it. That's how. For now, I want to use JSONify, Flask, and make response. And I want you guys to see how I'm actually going to use them. Okay, fine. So part of the things I want my application to do is to have, so I'm going to create a list of friends, okay? Or a list of, some of that stuff like orders. I want to create a list of orders where I'll be having the order ID, okay? I'll also be adding the order description. Then I'll be adding I will be having the cumulative order price for that bunch. Then basically that's what I'm gonna use, okay? To build my request. So you guys, you're gonna see how I'm gonna build that. So inside here, I'm just going to declare a variable, and I'll call it orders. And these variables, I'll put them in a JSON format. It's actually not a variable, but some sort of kind of a list. So I'll put them in some JSON format. In this, I'll come back here. The first one will be ID. So give me for this. So I'll have ID. So I'll be building them using a JSON format. I'm giving an ID of 1. Okay. I want to give it description. Now I'm remembering CU in campus. Okay, description. How do you guys want us to give it the description? Yeah? I want to have something else. Yeah. So inside here, I'll have item 1. What item do we need to include here? Just give an any other thing that you guys want us to have. Any other? Huh? Python. No, item 1 in the order. T-shirts. Thank you. So I also need to have item 2. Now somebody is now wondering, why am I making this thing complex? I'm just building a simple. Okay, what else? What other item do we need to have here? Yes. Yes, Diana. You guys don't go to the shop. Pizza. I know why that one is coming from. Okay, but anyway. So the last thing I want to have is the price, okay? I think I need to put this way. Price What price should I give it? 500. Okay. So I can actually have another one for a similar case. So I can actually add another type of order. So allow me just to copy paste this, then I'll be able to change some few. So the ID for this will be 2. Okay. Cool. And description will be item 1 is what we are changing. This would be and then this one will be bananas, and the price, let's change it to bananas are cheap, trousers are expensive. This should be 10,000. Yes. So the next thing I'm gonna return is in this scenario, I'm not gonna return just what I actually had. Yeah, so I'm not just going to return what I have, but then what I also don't have. So look at what I'm gonna use. So make response, which is a function, and inside this function I want to JSONify everything, and inside my JSONify, what status code should I put here? What status code? Hello? What status code? Why 200? Okay, so inside this, I want to build so I'll do status. Okay. Okay. I'll also build what else should I put here? Message. Okay. Message should be success. Then the last one is orders. My orders. And in this case, I'm gonna pass the orders that are actually put Apogee. So I want us to go ahead and run this application. I think it's worth it if I change the function name. So I want to run it now. As you can see, it has automatically restarted. So when I send this thing again, no, it hasn't restarted. Damn. Okay. Let's run. I have a syntax error. I don't know whether I should be. I don't know whether. So this, I was actually doubting out this one. What? Oh yeah. There were 2 and I only did for 1. Let's run. Yes, so that's running now. And now you guys can now see what I have. So message is success, status is okay. My orders, you can see the description for my orders, the IDs, the items, and as you can see in my descriptions, what do I have? I have like some other inbuilt list of the items that I have. Okay. So basically, this is how we build an API. Right now, we could actually use JavaScript to call this API endpoint. That's how. Isn't it that this is the most basic thing you can actually build in the entire world apart from hello world? So most APIs are probably are integrated with the database. Some of them are actually a bit complex, okay? But anyway, you don't really need to worry about that. Okay? I don't know whether my video is live so that or am I talking just alone? Yeah, okay, so going forward, I want us to consider having this thing, not entirely having this thing, but I want us to consider using what we have here, and we're also going to consider having it and now using Flask-RESTful API, okay? As we advance, we'll be dealing with some other methods like post or put, so that at least you guys will understand how they basically work. So, but for now, I think you guys now understand how Flask works. Some of these methods doesn't really need to worry you right now. They can pick from forms, any other format that you've actually provided to them. So that shouldn't be like your main worry right now. As we advance, I don't know what I had in mind. If you want to declare a next route, you just say app.route, then your order name, okay, probably. If you just say app.route, okay, then your function, okay, then you just define app.route, then you define the route and probably the method, then the function, then you build the nini for the function basically. What happens thereafter is not like a big thing that you guys need to worry about right now. Okay? Cool. Anybody who understands who has a question up to there before we advance? Hello? Guys, can you just stand up? How are you guys today? Hello? How are you guys today? Hungry? Am I hungry? Ugly? Who is ugly? So who has a question up to here? Up to where we have reached? Who cannot explain a single line of code? Yes? Can? Or Flask? In your machine? Can you run 2 Flask applications at the same time? I think yes, but you'll be using different ports. Yes, you'll be using different ports. So we can, you know, where we defined debug true. I can put a comma here, and I define the port is equals to something else. So right now I'm using the default port 5000. That's why if you come and look at this URL that we have here, you can see it's 127.0.0, then colon 5000, right? That 5000 is the port. So you can specify the port. It will be using the same 127, but on a different port. But now the question is, if you're struggling to write even one Flask application, why do you need to run 2 of them at the same time? Yes, it doesn't make sense to me. Any other question? Somebody had a question at the back. Yes, Daniel? What? Make response generally build your entire response body. Yes. And it's not a must that you need to have make response for it to work. I can actually delete make response and I just use JSONify. But make response is a Flask package that builds your entire response. So yes, I can actually delete it and just have return, JSONify, everything. Any other question before you guys sit down? So how is this going to be related to the HTML files? So the HTML files that you guys are actually working on right now will make sense for you guys when you start working on challenge 4, whereby you'll be expected to include vanilla.js to consume the API endpoints that we are currently working on. What? Any other question? Yes?
We have a status code down there, 200.
Yes?
How is it coming in? I can't see it reflected.
So status code, you can't see it reflected in the response, right? But here it is reflected here. Yes. And now, sorry, not no, but now, if we actually advance much further, and probably we want to test this application, the first thing probably most guys tend to look for is things like the status code, because you cannot cheat a status code. Okay? As long as the application is working, you cannot cheat a status code.
So the status code that we write in this thing is actually what is in the numbers.
Yes, it's actually inbuilt. And status codes are specific. So I actually advise you to go and read about status codes so that you know what 403 stand for 4 is 200, 201, so that at least you understand some of the basic status codes. But then there are things that you will actually be testing for at one point, especially when you're testing the URLs.
So let me ask the last one before you go and here we written 200. What if we wrote 403? What will happen?
So 403 is not the correct status code for success. Yes. So what will happen is, okay, let us come here and write 403. Okay. So we written 403. The next thing that I'm gonna do, then I Flask run again. Then I resend this. It's already forbidden. So your test result is already forbidden. That's why, as much as your status code is, as much as your application is running, the status code that we're actually sending is not the correct one. That is actually, that should not actually, I mean, that should actually be there. Yes. So you need to learn about using the correct status code. Yeah. Yes? It's advisable to include the status code for each and every response that you do. Very advisable to use status codes. Because status codes will not lie. Your codes might lie, but your status codes will not lie. Yes, for a lazy Steve, that is the correct way. But for you to be much more practical, remember, before you actually come here, the first thing you need to go ahead and do is you need to go ahead and write your test. So your test should actually expect a specific status code. So right now, even if you were to get to write the test, our test will still pass because we are getting, our test will actually pass. Okay, let's say we didn't have a status code. Like I said, you can actually ignore a status code, okay? But then if you had written a correct status code on the other side, your test will pass because your test imejua napata the correct thing that I actually did. Yes. Hello? Yes? Okay, for the status and status codes are two different things. I can delete okay. It doesn't make my sense. And leave message successful. Okay? But it's not like a mass. What we have here is just something I basically encoded in my list somewhere. But it doesn't really like so much matter. Yeah. Any other question? So you want to advance our application and see how we can actually go ahead and use Flask-RESTful to build our application. So you guys can sit down. So I think ladies and gentlemen, before I actually go ahead and start probably discussing about the basic concept of Flask-RESTful API, I think it's important to understand generally what I know. I actually ignored this before, but I think it's actually important for us to understand what is an API. Okay, how many guys understand what an API is? Not by then, not by just by breaking the abbreviation, but understand exactly what an API does. I mean, who doesn't understand what an API does? So even if I was to tell you to write an API, you'd be thinking, what the hell is an API? What the hell does an API do, right? So I want us to consider two different scenarios. And that's why I'll probably come down and break it to what we have here. So basically, let us probably try to consider what an API does first, and how does API generally. And one of the basic concepts that I want us to talk about today is something we call, okay, generally we'll start with API, then we'll come to request. And majorly these are the most important things when we come to APIs, okay? Then response, then this callback, URL. Please make sure that you understand some of these basic concepts before the end of the day, okay? So we have API, we have request, then we have response, then we have callback URL. So what is the full meaning of API? Full meaning of API, yes? So API generally means application programming interface, okay? But then that is just a name. So what is an application programming interface? Yes? What? Okay, so generally, application API refers to application programming interface. Just as it is defined, this is an interface which is actually encoded into an application that allows this application to communicate with the rest of other applications. So what do I really mean? In short, who is not in Instagram here? We can pray for you and sign up for you an account immediately. Everyone should be in Instagram. So anyway, in most cases, when you go to Instagram and you want to make a post, so let's say this is your Instagram, and you want to make a post, right? When you are actually finally making your post command, it is actually asking you, do you want to save this to send the same post to Facebook or Twitter, right? And what does it do? Hello, what does it do? In case your Facebook is already authenticated with Instagram, you just click and it turns. I think it used to turn blue. It's long since I posted on Instagram, right? Then for the Twitter, it's nearly the same thing. So what happens is, as you are in Instagram, Instagram is able to post to Facebook. And by the time you post, this post that you had here, you can actually go into your Facebook account and actually get your post. If, for example, you posted an image, it will definitely come there, right? So how does Instagram actually make a post to Facebook? Now that is the question. Let's say Instagram is actually in server A. So we know, or you should know, that definitely all of them are being owned by Mark Zuckerberg, right? But then Instagram is very different from Facebook. Different servers, different client architectures probably. How does Instagram post to Facebook? Yes, Belio? Yeah. Now the question is, how is that mapping being done? Yes? Okay. Basically, how does finally let's get from you. Exactly. And that is now the concept of how APIs generally work. So Facebook exposes their API. You can actually even get the Facebook API in case you guys want it. And the concept of it is it actually allows a third-party application to interact with another application generally. Okay. So how does this really work? And in real life, what can API be? Simple. In real life, I consider API as with three major examples. Consider application A to be Kenya Power grid lights, and application B to be like, for example, the socket. Okay, to be, for example, your phone. For your phone to work, you need to charge it, right? Where do you charge it? The socket. So consider the socket as the API. I know it's the most weird thing that you guys probably would want to use, but consider a socket like the API. Remember, even by the time you come and have the grid line here, coming from Kenya Power, when they get to your house, there is a cable being dropped, and there's a wire which is actually connected to these sockets over here to the Kenya Power grid line. They are all wired up and down, right? But then, for your phone to charge, there is actually a hook previously designed in the socket that allows you to take in your charger and plug it inside here. And then there's another cable that now connects to your phone and allows your phone to be charged. In that sense, it's a very most crude way of looking for an API. The similar way, Instagram has a way of actually posting to Facebook. The way they does that is probably their own socket. So Facebook has a socket that any other application can actually hook to. The same way, that socket it's not actually your only charger that can use the socket. Some other charger can actually use the socket, right? So if you start to look at it in that kind of way, then you'll definitely get to understand now definitely how these APIs work for. Okay, fine. So now that you guys understand this, another crude way of understanding an API. Let's say you go to an hotel, right? And then there's definitely the hotel, right? Then you go there and you sit down. They'll ask you, okay, fine. Before they ask you, you are in an hotel. What's the first thing that you need to do? Huh? What's the first thing that you need to do? Yes? Go through the menu, right? What they have, right? The second thing, make an order, right? The third thing, wait for the order, right? The fourth thing, the order is brought, right? The fourth thing, consume the order, right? The last thing, pay. Then the last thing, get a receipt. Then now you can leave, right? Now let us generally look at all that approach. I was not actually following a preformatted way. Najua kuna wenye wanataka nipatie mandazi na chapo hapo, leta pesa kwanza. Yes, it actually happens. It actually happens, right? So let us generally start to look at now the entire essence of all those. And that is now where the request comes from. Generally, what is a request? From a layman's perspective, what is a request? Asking for? Then what is a response? So when you ask something, you expect some feedback or response. Definitely. So now let us consider the entire life cycle of all that. I'm poor at drawing, but I believe this is Andrew. Yes. And the fact that I believe this is Andrew. So Andrew goes and sits down. Then this is now the hotel cafeteria. There's somebody there. I don't know who is serving.
So the moment Andrew comes to the hotel, Andrew will definitely look at the menu, right? Consider the process of looking at the menu as looking at the various APIs that the hotel has actually exposed that is, okay, fine. This is what you can get from us. It's like going to an Mama Mboga or going to kibanda ya uji, alafu unataka kuitisha pizza. Definitely hautapata, si ndio? So you only order what is available, si ndio? So that process, consider looking at it like, okay, fine. I want to get to know what you guys definitely offer. So yes, and I'll teach you guys a trick by the end of this. Then after confirming what you definitely have, what is the next thing that you need to do? Make the order, right? Consider making the order as sending a request. So you actually send a request. When you send a request, these guys will come back with the order. Sindio? So watakuletea chakula yako. In that case, that is a response. And so on and so on. When you pay, you are also sending another request. Then when you probably want a change back or you are waiting for the receipt, you actually get another response. So now the type of request being made generally differs, especially when we now want to talk about APIs. So now, if you understand the basic concept of what requests are and response are. So for example, when we click send, what do? Are we getting a response or are we making a request? We are making a request. No. And when we get this data here being displayed, the data that we are getting for the orders, what do? We are getting a response. And that's where it now comes. Most of those status codes that you guys were actually getting are what we call response codes. So actually, they are called result codes. So the result codes are actually codes that instantiate the type of request that you have actually sent. Then the moment you resend me a response, the response should actually come with its own response code. So I'll actually explain it to you in another way, layman's term. Okay, so let us take a look. One of the best applications that we know is M-Pesa, right? Who has never used M-Pesa here? I can set for you something so that let's see how it works. Hallelujah. Okay, fine. I would really like for us to consider this. When you send money, like for example, right now I send money to you. There is this thing that will always come and pop up on my application. Send to M-Pesa, successful, right? That message itself is a form of a response. But ideally, we receive it from Safaricom. So as we send it, definitely we send it, we expect a response. But then remember that response is tied to a specific code. Then later on, after Safaricom has finished processing the transaction, what will it do again? It will now send for me another response. And now that is now where the concept of advanced status codes and response codes now comes in. For basic of understanding, I don't really want to measure much on that. But for today, I just want you guys to understand that when you send a request, you definitely expect back a response generally. So what are callbacks URLs? And we will not be using this thing here anytime soon. If you were to consume M-Pesa API, maybe some other day, we can have a video call where I teach you guys how to consume M-Pesa API. I would really love to. If you were to do that, then definitely I would actually explain for you where now the most complex APIs comes into place. But then before I actually come back, what are callbacks URL? So let's say you are a business, right? And allow me just to explain this with M-Pesa because you guys understand how sometimes you pay things online using M-Pesa, right? So the moment you pay, then there's the business side of things. So after authenticating everything, the business needs to send for the merchant. Like let's say I'm the business. and you pay my business. Ndio. Safaricom needs to send for me the data of each and every person that is actually paid using my pay bill. When they send it, they're not supposed to send it to my telephone number. They're supposed to send it to my application that I've actually hosted online. And when they send it that application is supposed to process it up and actually display it on my screen, or probably insert it into the database, right? Where Safaricom sends that body or sends that message is called, that link itself is called a callback URL. So let's say you guys did not expect a response code to come here, or you don't expect it definitely to come here. Then Safaricom says, okay, fine. Please give me a callback URL so that instead of sending for you your response on Postman, I want to send them to your other URL. In that case, we call that a callback URL. So basically, the concepts here are very cheap to understand, as much as you are actually able to navigate. And now that brings me back to starting to explain for you guys what are the types of requests that you guys really know. So you guys definitely know about get request. Sasa, what does a get request do? What does a get request do? It fetches data. Sasa, there another type of request. Post, self-explanatory, right? Another type of request. Yes. Delete. What does delete do? Deletes data, right? Another one. Put. What does it do? Update. What? Any other type of request? Patch. What does it do? Okay, fine. I usually say, if you want to get all type of request, you can come to Postman. There they are. We have get, post, patch, delete, copy, head, options, links, unlink, patch, lock, unlock, profile, and view. All of them are actually there. Those are the major those are all the types of requests that we have. But the most common ones are actually for insert, which is post, get, right, delete, then put. Sometimes you can actually use patch. So yeah. So using that basic overview of generally how APIs work, now I think it will be very much important to understand when you make a request for APIs. Now let us get off our minds from URLs, but I can also come and let us get off our minds from an hotel format, but which I can also come in and actually explain it from an hotel. When you make a request to the hotel, when you are making an order, how do you make the order? How do you make the order? Huh? Who has ever gone to Kempinski here? Hakuna, si ndio? So kila mtu amejua kumake order ya mtu moja. Yenye waiter anakuja, anakwambia unataka nini boss? Chapo madondo na maragwe. Yes, chapo madondo na maragwe. Hizo ni maragwe mbili na chapo. Yes, chapo madondo na maragwe ni chapo madondo mbili. Hiyo ni maragwe mbili na chapo, si ndio? Nani yako wayo order maragwe mbili na chapo hapo? Maragwe mbili na chapo. What? No, kuna time ingine. So there used to be this hotel where if you ordered for chapatis, the chapatis were very big, like 25. Wakikuletea mbili huwezi maliza na maragwe ya 20 bob. So lazima uode maragwe ingine. So unaleta chapo madondo na maragwe. So ukisema maragwe, hiyo ni maragwe inakuja plain, chapo madondo inakuja na chapo madondo na chapo zake. Sasa I know it's weird. But take it from me, we have actually gone to such type of hotels. So the most common way you guys understand about hotels, or even me too, is you make a request through the waiter. So this entire process, the waiter becomes like your communication partner with the hotels. That is very different, especially when we want to now look at the API. So in the API, the waiter is replaced by what we call the URL. So for each and every request that you need to make, you have to specify the specific URL in inaenda, which is actually going to. Hello? Does it make sense?
Yes.
So hapa hautakuja unasema, okay, Abraham, so I want to consume this API. Who is the waiter? So you have to define that URL. And it's those URLs that when we come back to our Flask application, we are actually defining them in the routes. Sasa. Yes. So using that chronology, consider also the socket. You guys understand when I explain the concept of Kenya Power and your phone, right? Consider the socket as what we call an edge point. So like, okay, fine, an endpoint, not an edge point, an endpoint. So an endpoint is any point of is an interface within the API that any other applications can actually interact with. So sometimes the data that actually comes differs in different formats. So the endpoint is actually configured in a specific way to handle the type of data that is actually coming in. Hello? So for example, when you want to get, you will definitely send nothing. It is the waiter that probably, okay, fine, let's say you are ordering. So just say, give me chakumadondo, right? Then the waiter will go and come back with chakumadondo. Then now when you want to pay, what does it do? You have to have something, right? So you have to give him the cash or probably your card. Then he goes to the counter, okay, fine, I've come with the cash, deduct this amount of money, give me back the card or give me back the change, then I'm actually returning it back, right? So as you see, the first time the waiter went to the kitchen. This time around, the waiter is going to the cashier. So each and every request you make will definitely go to specific or different endpoints. So what we developed previously was called an endpoint. And that's why we call them API endpoints. Who doesn't understand what I've explained? And who has a question? So you guys understand what you guys will be working on, right? Hello? You understand what you'll be working on, right? Cool. So
It means that
the callback URL is not an endpoint. The callback URL is where your server replies with the response. And right now, do like this. Let's erase callback URL because you need to be developing. But anyway, as you advance in APIs, you definitely use it much further. So this is where your server replies with the response. If you don't just want it on menu. So yes, so leave it. Right now, let's just focus on this. Cool. So I want us now to take a look at Flask-RESTful API. And what we did previously was another way of making Flask, making an endpoint. Though it works for us, which is pretty fine, I can actually preview this and say, okay, fine. In this case, I was importing Flask, I was importing JSONify, and I was importing Flask-RESTful. Make response. Then here I was definitely naming my Flask application. Here I had the coded data, and I was calling them orders. Then in this case, with this method, I was getting all the orders. And how did I do that? I just used make response. And in this case, I was now running my application with debug true. So with my debugger turned on. So that is basically why I can explain this. But consider when your application now needs to probably advance, and you don't want to use one file. What do you need to do? Now that is where the concept of Flask-RESTful comes in. That's how. Okay, fine, guys. Look at this. I want you guys to logically think. Sometimes the request that you get differs, and there are so many. Or the request that you really need to make to another application differs, and there are so many. That's that you can't keep on pulling each and every request from anywhere. You can't keep on having, like, for example, okay, fine, now we have a route for get, right? Now we have another, we will probably want to post, we need to probably have another route for posting, right? And those routes, they need their own different URLs. That's how. And that is what Flask-RESTful now comes in and saves us. And let us probably take a look. For us to use Flask-RESTful, the first thing that you need to come and do is do pip. I hope I'm sharing my screen.
Just give me 3 moments. I need to verify that everything is working. Just give me like 3 moments. So anyway, I need just to install pip install. What do I need to install? Hello? So I need to Flask. I need to install Flask. Rest. You can just laugh. God is watching you. Wait a minute. So I need to install Flask-RESTful, and I'll take your question. Yes. Only if you have more than one version. Yes. No. So which Python version do you have? So I think basically what you need to do. Basically what you need to do is hold on a moment. Basically what you need to do is have one specific Python version, and it will be the default. If you have two, make one your default, and when you do pip, you will definitely pick the default Python version. Yes, so you can Google on how you can do that. Sasa. Yes. Allow me just to hang up for some moment. I need to verify something on my phone. So like I said, the first step involves yes, Belio. Oh yes, you had a question. They have different ways of handling the endpoints. There's Flask API, there's Flask REST Plus, and then there's Flask RESTful. Yes, they have different ways of handling that. So basically, okay, so let's probably come here, and I've actually installed my Flask API. I've actually installed Flask-RESTful here, and now what I want to come back here and do is import something. So from Flask-RESTful, from Flask RESTful import bit called API, right? Then I'll say API is equals to API in bracket up, right? So what am I gonna do? And please, let's pay attention here. I'm not trying to make things to look much complex. I'm just trying to make things to probably reduce weight on what we need to do. And you'll now see how we are going to combine some of these things together. I was sort of also feeling at one point that before we actually do this, we can actually build some other thing ahead. We can do a one for post. Guys, excuse me. Can we do one for post here first? Then you guys will now understand, right? Yes, please, let's do one for post. And doing one for post is, I just do this. So You guys understand post order, and when we post order, what I want us to do is to, data is equals to, how do we fetch data from JSON? How do you fetch data from JSON? Anybody who knows? Yes? Request dot get underscore JSON. Right? Then I think the next thing that we need to go ahead and do, we need some specific things to come from our JSON thing, our JSON format, right? Do we need to get ID? Probably we can automatically generate ID, right? Studio. So we probably need description. Studio. So I'm thinking. I'm thinking on how we wrote our description. Do we really need descriptions? Let's just provide the items, right? Let's just provide the items. So we are giving 2 items. So let's assume we'll be getting item 1. Item 1 be equal to data. I wanted you guys to see the entire screen, so that's why I actually think. Item 1. Item 2 is equals to data. Data item 2. Then there is the price. That's all. There's the price, okay? Price is equals to data. Price. Then we now want to make our entire, so the data that we will be fetching from, Postman, so that's how. We want now to make it full, like, so that at least we can actually get it up. Okay, fine. So let's do it. I want to call it payload. We want to make the we entirely want to make that data to be enough in a dictionary format. So this will be, in this case, we'll have ID. Okay, so we can actually come here and have an ID. ID. How do we get the length of a list? How do you get the length of a list? Any person who knows? Len dot. Okay, len. Orders. Those orders, right? Then we want to increment it. So we are just adding 1. So this will definitely get for us the length of the orders. Then we increment it. Okay, fine. So the first thing that we need to come here and do is to give it ID. The ID and the description. What do we need to do for the description? We need to have this again. Item 1 goes to item 1. Item 2. Oh my God. Item 2 is equals to item item to write. Then the last thing is the price, right? Guys, these things are actually very important. So make sure that you write them clearly using the right spelling. So what would our price be? The price that we actually got here. So let me call that small p. So price. That is very important. So after getting this, we want to get something off here. So what we'll be having is, we'll say orders dot append, which is a function payload. Oh my god, I hope this is not happening. Okay, let's continue. So I've actually appended everything, and so I'll have like return, make response, JSONify status, awk message, posted, success, fully. Okay, I don't know kama hivyo ndio vile wanaandikaga successfully. Then I want to return the payload. Okay, I want to return this payload that we are actually in there. What is the correct status code? What does 201 stand for? Created. Okay, so the correct status code is 201, and with that, yes, the method is post. Thank you for that. The method is post. So okay, fine. So guys, right now, as much as we are actually importing this, we are not using them anywhere. So I've just commented them out. So we'll just restart our Flask run. So we have an error. Which line? Huh? You mean this code has reached line 47? But these are the same thing I was using all the time. It was the same thing. Okay, so I'm having some indentation error, which personally I'm not able to see why. Can you guys able to help me out? I hope things won't break. It's too early. Let's say this. Let's remove make response. What?
what is this going to be? Move it up to body and
Still, it won't make sense. Trust me, it won't make sense. I enclosed everything. It's only that it wasn't working the way I wanted. Okay, fine. Let's see if this one will work now. So where is the error now? So you see, I don't even have an indentation error. In ideal case, I don't have an indentation error. If the top one works, I really don't have an indentation error. I don't know what's up sometimes with my Python environment. Okay, let me try this without the status code. Hey guys, do you guys figure out a way here? Do you guys see any error of an indented code here?
Using the bit plugin.
What?
A bit plugin.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it actually auto-formatted everything. But then you see, it was giving me an indentation error. So I was trying to remove some of the things. Nikaziweka kwa the same line. It's still not giving me what I need. It's telling me an indentation error. The top one is actually running correctly. The top one is actually running correctly, but this one is now refusing to work. Yeah, so this one is actually working, but then the other one is now not working. What's up? What does that one help with? I don't have a tab. I don't have anything that I need to mix up with, that I actually mixed up. My code was correct. Hello guys, Niajen. Do you guys have an idea here? Hello? Line? Yes, line 45 is okay. So here it's saying let me try this again. So you guys, so it's actually on line 45 where I have a JSON formatted text and it's not running. So I think what I can do, okay, let me try to put JSONify on its online. What did I press to have these boxes? Control F. How do I get rid of this? Okay, fine. Cool. So I've done JSONify on its online. Let me see whether it will run. Still have the same indentation error. Do I need to JSONify these things? I think I can do JSON dot loads, right? Or dumps, yeah. Return. And I have to import. I have to import JSON. Oh shit. Yes, you have a solution? Uh-huh. So you want me to go back to JSONify? Yes. This one. It's supposed to be here. This for this one. I've actually removed it and it's still not, it won't work. So the error is actually starting here. This one. So I remove it. Here. No, it can't be here. I think it's also better before you comment, you figure out. So the top one was working, right? Can you guys see how I did the top one?
Then try adding the crest. That is
What? Nini? Uh-huh. not working.
You can try and replace box before this. Then close a bracket before the comma. A bracket before the comma.
Hapa.
Yeah.
This one.
Now try and
Don't work. Don't work. I don't know. Kama zenu zina run. Who is trying the same thing? And it's running. It's okay, right? Yeah, it should actually be working. I don't know what's sometimes wrong with my Python indentation things. I don't know what's up sometimes. I also sometimes doesn't really understand I don't get to understand why. Okay, can we just do away with the response, huh? And say return. Say return JSONify. Okay. Right? Let's say return JSONify message. Success. Let's see if this one will work. Seriously? Yes. What? No, but then it should not give us indentation error. It should not give us an indentation error. It should give us at least it's not getting the request, but not indentation error. We did not import request. Yes, Andrew? This way. Here. Seriously, Andrew? That's even the worst case. Okay. Let me try this. Okay. So I did away with the return. Everything now works. So we will post, but we will not see anything. Let's see if our posting works, okay? Hello? We'll post, but we'll not get anything. I don't know what scrabbled up everything that I was doing there. So let's just build our own request. Then we will see how it works. So we'll come to Postman first. Send. When we send our request, we are getting everything, okay? Then I want us to post. So for us to post, we have to add the URL, then come to and change this to post, then come to the body part, use row, then we'll be using a JSON. So because it's a JSON, so we'll be having item 1, right? What will we equate this to? Biashara. Item 2. will business item 3 price, sorry, will you equate it to? Huh? 3,000. So when we send this, bad request, which error? Oh yes, yeah, bad request. Okay, thank you guys for showing that. So when we send this, it has a yes. Okay, fine. So let's post this. What's the error? Okay. Yes, I don't have a return statement. The moment I have a return, everything messes up. Payload. See. Okay, fine. Let's say let's return the payload. Let's just return the payload. I think that's okay, right? So it's running. So let me post. I don't know whether this will work, but anyway, I've been having. Okay, so there's some errors which I'm getting here. Okay, fine. So, oh, cool, it worked. But then, so for me to get them, for me to get each and everything, so when it is posted, I'm able to get the data which I was actually getting. But then when I want to post this out, so for me to get all of them, I've now appended everything and I just return to the default route. When I send, you can now see I have up to ID number 3, right? Hello? So you can now see what now that I have up to number 3. So I think basically the reason why I chose to do this is at least for you guys now to see why it's important, why and very easy for us to implement Flask-RESTful rather than just using with rather than coding with the entire Flask application, right? You can definitely go ahead and use OOP and implement everything to be majorly working. But then there is some basic concept that you'll definitely miss, and that's where the concept of Flask-RESTful comes in, and how Flask-RESTful will definitely come and help you out. So, like I said, the first thing you need to come and do is to do that, and of course we are not using JSON anymore, so we'll definitely delete that. Declare API to be that. Then there's now something that we now need to add, especially as far as Nini is now concerned. So before we do anything here, Flask-RESTful uses a mechanism of bundling everything together that can actually exist in one route. That's how. And by doing that, it ends up putting them in one classes and puts them in one format. So what am I talking about? So we can come here and say we have a class, and how do we want to call our class? Orders, right? And in this our class orders, we're not going to do anything, and we are definitely going to delete our routes. We are definitely going to delete our routes. Everything which is inside this class is definitely going to be here inside this class right now. So it's just a matter of indenting everything the correct way. And after doing this, the next thing which is now very important for us is how do we now name the methods inside our class. So for any method that, for any request which is a get request, we just name the method get. When it is a post, we just name it post. And you definitely have nothing to worry about the next. Then at the last end of your application, the only thing you need to come and do is to say API, which we had declared apogee.add resource. I don't know whether it's how it's written. And the first thing that you need to come and do is to call your orders class. Yes, then separate by comma, and then the route. We just want to call it the normal route, and now that is basically what we have. So everything that we had previously, we are now going to use the same route. And probably let's try to run this. When you run our Flask application, what does it say? Cannot import name API. Is it small API or big API? Evo? Okay. I think that's how I messed. Yeah. So I think I explained. So we are definitely importing Flask-RESTful. We are importing API from Flask-RESTful, and we're just declaring that API is equals to API, which we actually imported from Flask-RESTful into the Flask, indexing the name of our Flask application. Then in this case, the only difference that we'll be having is everything, every method. You see, previously we had functions, right? But now in this case, when they're inside a class, they're called methods, right? So you can actually have a parent class, and inside that parent class, you have your methods that does specific things like fetch, post and everything. But then the naming mechanism that you use for those classes are get, post, and the rest of the things. That at least Flask-RESTful knows if I see a method named get, I'm definitely expecting a method. I'm definitely using the get. I'm definitely sending a get request, something like that. So that is generally the naming conventions. There's nothing really much on that. I don't know what happened. Yes. What? Okay. On the code. Okay. Let me get back to the code. Where is it? I removed it long time ago. Not actually just removed it. So that is one of the things that Flask-RESTful is doing away with. So you don't need to declare a route for on top of each and every class that you're actually working with. Sasa. And yes.
The same, for example, the post register user and login. So when adding the resource there, how would you differentiate them?
So I think one of the most important things per class, you can have only a maximum of four requests. So and those requests has to be specific. So for example, in this case scenario, in case I had another get, I cannot come and add it here in this class. So if I have you actually bundle things together and put them in their own different class. For example, if it was supposed to get orders, right? So everything that deals with order, I put them in their own class. Anything that deals with answers, I put them in their own class. So if it was example, I have to also get for classes, right? I mean, get answers for. I mean, probably apart from orders, which other thing can I get? Payments. If I have to get payments, I'll have to create a payments class, and that will fetch for me automatically the only payments and probably post payments and the rest of the things. Yes. So basically, login uses post, sign up also uses post. In that case, they cannot be in one class. Yes. So you can define them and put them in different classes. Then they're using different URLs. So I think basically we are good to go to run our application. Okay, has no attribute. Let's view. What's up? What did I miss out? Huh? Oh yes, I need to. Yes, I need to have these results. Thank you for that. Then I need to put that resource inside there. So when I run it, yes, it's running. And now I'm only going to use the default route. So when I use the default route and I don't change anything, and I said my request, you can see I'm getting an error. Which error am I getting? Text no argument. One is given. I really need this one here, really. Yeah. So I get the inif with using the same URL as also the moment I change the method, I can come to post and my body is open and I can actually send post. After posting, the only thing I need to come here is say get, you see, and I'm actually able to get everything. So the idea of what I really have here is I'm definitely using the same URL, but I'm actually doing more than one operations. I'm actually able to send more than one request in the same URL. So that's how. Also, what other benefit do I have, especially when I use Flask-RESTful in this case? I'm not telling all of you guys to come and use Flask-RESTful. You can actually basically find some other Flask API packages or libraries that you can actually use, like Flask-REST Plus. But in this case, let's say that my orders class was not in this file. So I want to do away with anything that deals with orders class inside this file. So this could be any this could be the only thing which is probably there. Then I come to new file. I want to have a new file called views.py. Okay.
And inside this, I just want to paste all of this. So the only thing that I need to come and do here when I come to run.py, I'll come to local imports and say from views import orders. Okay, and still my application will be running. Resource is not defined. Okay, fine. I'm not importing some things here. Yes. So I come to views. I need to come back here. From Flask-RESTful, import resources. Import resource. Then definitely when I come to run it, should be able to run now. In this case, you see, as long as I now know what I want to import, I can actually have different versions of my views in different areas. Then the only thing I need to come is I need now to come to my run.py and call those different classes in my main file and attach them to specific routes. So and basically learning about Flask-RESTful. Okay, I know today I've actually talked about Flask-RESTful. Learning about Flask-RESTful, you can actually have different versions of your application. Like right now, I'm using one way. I can actually have different versions of my application. And because at one point I was talking about using blueprints, I use blueprints to register each and every version of those applications. Does it make sense? Yes. So I would have really wanted to cover how to use blueprints out today, but I know it will just confuse you guys much further. So let us talk about blueprints tomorrow. Is that on okay? Yes. So majorly what we'll talk about tomorrow is how do we go ahead and use blueprints, and how can we now use blueprints to version our different APIs. So we can have API version 1, API version 2, and probably different codes doing the same thing, and we now register them, and you can now see if we do API version 1, we get this thing, and then if you do API version 2, we get this other different thing. Cool? Yeah. Any other person with a question? Hello? Any question with any person with a question, or any question with a person? So I think for today, practically, I would really want us to implement something a bit generic, something close to what you guys are doing, right? What was the question? What was, so let's just open our store manager, challenge 1. Who has it? So let's say a store attendant can add a product to the cart, right? You guys had that, right? So can we do an API endpoint using data structures that can enable a store attendant to add? I think it's easy. So just have for example, what we call a card. So that one can be a list, okay? So you have a card, and you know the different components of things that are actually in a card. So the ID has to be there. There has to be a description of the card, right? Then there has to be a price. Then there has to be a total. So you take different meaning on the card and you do the price. You do the total. So that is what I want to. So you definitely create a card and get the card. So that is what I need each and everyone afanya yake leo. So it's not being done in Teams, but you are actually free to consult. Sasa, yeah. So basically what you are supposed to do is you have to create a cart, then you have to add items to the cart. Sasa, I think before I actually leave this, or before I stop is, most cases, we really don't encourage using hard-coded data. So how can we do this? Anyone with a solution? So in most cases, I will not encourage you to come and hard-code data for us. Yes. So I would not encourage you to come and hard-code data. So in short, what I expect you guys to do is this: declare your orders, declare your cart. Definitely, if you have orders and you just do this, I definitely know it's a list, right? And my application is still work. It's only that when I When I now fetch, what's happening? When I now fetch post, okay, I think I have some error. There was something which was using orders. Okay, so ideally, what I mean is, at one point, you can always just declare your orders the way I have them, and as you get your data, just append what you have. So, and it will definitely create. So start appending. So, but anyway, for today, I think you guys can just go ahead and use this. We'll hammer more into this as we continue tomorrow, and how you guys can use it. Anyone with a question? Anyone with a question? So the reason why this is not also not working is because there is request which this other thing needs. So there is a request which is actually needed here, but then I'm not able to get it. I'm not able to have it here. So if I think if I can have this. So by default, I can only get my orders after posting. Before then, I had some hard-coded data. So yes, at least now you can see. You can go ahead and declare everything to be raw, like just an empty list. Then as we go ahead, we advance the structure of what we have. So I know it's way much past time. You only have 45 minutes to do the implementation. So yes, 2 heads are better than 1 as long as they're not in the same. As long as they're not being shared. 2 brains are better than 1 as long as they're not in the same head. Yeah. Cool. I hope if there's a question, I'll be walking around so you guys can actually figure out things fast.